I didn't want to write something that everybody else did. So it took me a while to figure out what direction to take. So I had popped into my head, I'll do the opposite of a werewolf story. So I thought, well, lichen, wolf, what's the opposite? Well, this is Homo sapiens, a human. So sapientropy.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Writing Inspirations with Markee Books. I'm your host, Dan Ricoveri, and here is our guest for today. Say hello to Sijo Art Lapham.
How you doing?
Hello. I hope I pronounced your name correctly.
Yeah, actually, Sijo is my title in Chinese martial arts, and it kind of bled over into some of the other things that I do, so I ended up just adopting it for pretty much everything.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So, Sijo, how long have you been a writer?
Well, I remember the first thing that I wrote and somebody actually read was I entered a poetry contest back when I was, 14, maybe 15 years old, and I actually won. But since then, I've written instructional manuals for martial arts and probably about 75 sets of lyrics for songs for my band. And then recently, that's when I started going into novels and magazine articles and everything else now.
Oh, so before books, you mostly specialize on publishing other types of works, okay? That's interesting. So when did you write your first book?
The first one, Sapientropy, was written probably about 13, 14 years ago. And I had it published with a company out of Pennsylvania that I won't mention. They essentially did pretty much nothing. This was before the whole self-publishing thing really kicked off on the internet. So, back then, it wasn't quite the same. But I did, once I was able to get the publishing rights back, I fluffed it up with another 50, 60 pages, re-edited the whole thing, and now it's out, brand new again.
So you started writing 16 years ago, right?
About that, yeah.
How did it start? What sparked that feeling?
Well, I've always been creative. Okay, I'm an artist. I'm a martial arts instructor. I'm a musician. But as far as the writing goes, at least as far as the novel goes, I was in a tower, not like a Rapunzel type situation with an evil king. I was a correctional officer. And so my job at the time was being in the tower for 8 hours, watching the yard that was only occupied for about 2 hours. Imagine I had a lot of downtime. And the idea of writing a novel just popped in my head because I hadn't done one yet. And then, of course, from there you go, well, what do you write about? What I didn't want to do is I didn't want to write something that everybody else did. So it took me a while to figure out what direction to take.
I can imagine. So how long did it take you to finish it?
Well, once I got the initial idea, I wrote the prologue. And I wasn't even sure if I was going to go beyond that, but I sent the prologue out to a couple of dozen people that I know that are avid readers. And they all came back within a couple of days with really positive results. And everyone was saying, I can't wait to see what's next. So I said, okay, well, I guess I got to write a novel. So once I started at that point, I would say probably about 5 or 6 months.
Right. What was going on in your life at that time?
Lots of work. I was trying to pay off a house that I had just bought. And, I spent an awful lot of time just there. And then I was either at work or in the recording studio with my band.
Yeah, I can see that. You do seem to have many talents, so it probably was difficult to balance everything.
It is, but it's something that I've always had a lot of burners cooking on my stove of life, as it were. So the whole balancing thing has come second nature to me.
Oh, that's great, actually. So, do you get inspired by another work? It can be another author, another movie, etc.
Well, it's funny you mentioned movies. 2 of the people that read the intro, when they got back to me, and they don't even know each other, they both said the same thing. They said that they felt as though they were watching a movie. And I think that might be because I'm a big fan of old Hollywood. So when I write, I go through the scenes in my head, almost like a movie scene, casting the parts with old actors from the 30s and 40s, so that it's in my head as a movie scene. It comes out that way when I write.
Yeah, Actually, I do get that feeling because in my case, it's similar. I've been told that I write too similar to screenplay instead of a book. So yeah, I do get it. But I mean, my previous experience before was doing screenplay.
Yeah.
Right now, you said that you're self-published, right? Do you plan to go to traditional again?
Well, it really depends on how successful the self-publishing is. I have 4 novels right now already written. The other 3 are just waiting to be released, and I'm just spacing them out.
Wait, 4? On Amazon, I only see 2.
That's the first novel. I've got the paperback and the ebook, but I have the sequel and the third part. It's actually a trilogy, but I'm going to release them several months apart. I don't want to flood the market the entire.
Oh, you finished the third one recently?
Recently, yeah. And then I have a 4th novel, which is unrelated, but it takes place in the same universe.
And a spin-off, yeah. So how do you feel right now? How's your writing experience?
Excited. I've also done some magazine articles recently. I've got 2 coming out by the end of the year for different publications. So things are starting to fall into place as far as the writing goes, which is nice.
Okay. What's the most difficult thing you have to struggle with as a writer?
I think the hardest thing that I've done so far was the second novel, because at first I had to tie up some loose ends from the first novel. And then, of course, halfway through, I had an idea for a third novel to make it a trilogy. So I had to open up some plot threads to weave into the third novel, while all the time still telling a cohesive story. So that was really challenging.
I can imagine. So, what's your writing routine? Like, how do you plan everything?
Well, as far as the books go, I'll start with an outline. I know I'll get an idea of where I want the story to go, what I want the characters to go through, and then I start fleshing it out from there, scene by scene, again, in a theatrical sense, mentally.
What points do you like to highlight on the outline?
Well, things, definitely, obviously, the climax, and I don't know if I should start there, but there has to be a point in the middle where things are really going rough for everybody, and it looks like the heroes are going to lose. And, it's basic storytelling 101, but I got to figure out where to put that. And I try to put some interesting points in the novel, and I space them so that I don't want too many pages to go by where it's just kind of like, oh, all right, kind of boring now, So you gotta add some spice in every other chapter or so to kind of keep the interest of the reader.
Do you do anything in particular when dealing with creative burnouts?
Yes, absolutely. I just, if I'm writing and I've got some writer block and I just can't figure out where to go from there, I walk away. I go and hit the heavy bag, or I'll play drums for a little while or whatever, just to kind of get away from the writing, get my mind off that. And at some point, it just kicks back in. Might be a few hours, might be a couple of days.
That's exactly right. And you have so many things that you can do other than writing helps you.
Yeah. It's like if somebody asked me to write a song about a particular subject and says, okay, I'll be back tomorrow for the song. Whoa, hold on. I need some time. I need some time to get into that subject and to see, emotionally where I want to go. It's going to take a little time. So you got to walk away and let it come naturally.
Do you have any advice you will give to a novice writer?
Yeah, actually, just keep writing. And my big thing is when someone tells you that, and this has happened to me over the years with various things that I've tried to do, there are the people out there that are very negative. And they'll tell you, oh, that's just a pipe dream. Don't bother with that. You're never going to be a writer. You're never going to do this. You're never going to do that. And if you take their advice, then they're absolutely correct. You're never going to do it. So don't listen to those people. Just follow your dream or dreams. I've done that. And some of the goals that I set for myself took a long time to reach, but I've reached them.
I understand. Actually, I will say something very similar in don't tell anyone you're writing till you finish your first book, unless you are obligated to do that.
Yeah. No, that's not a bad idea.
Believe me, it does help. A lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I have 4 books right now, and I haven't told my parents. Well, I will do that eventually, but I want to be properly published
Yes.
before that.
Yeah.
When I have the books in my hands, then I will do that.
Right.
Mostly
Gotcha.
because my parents are all old school, so they don't know about digital books.
Yep.
It happens. So, do you have like a story of how you named your first book?
How I named it? Yeah. Well, the whole idea was I didn't want to write something that's been written before, which is not exactly an easy task, obviously. So I laid down the subjects. I kind of whittled things down as far as genres. I said, well, I like science fiction and horror, but horror is more popular. So, okay, I'll start with horror. And I decided werewolf story, but I wanted to do something different. So I had popped into my head, I'll do the opposite of a werewolf story. Not really sure what that is. So you have to just explore what a werewolf is.
A werewolf that is becoming human?
So what's a werewolf? A werewolf is a man who becomes a wolf, right? Because of a certain set of circumstances. So my idea was a wolf-like creature gets accused of committing the one crime in hell and is placed on Earth as a punishment in the guise of a human. So what they call werewolfism is lycanthropy. So I thought, well, lycan, wolf, what's the opposite? Well, this is a Homo sapien, it's a human. So sapientropy. And just to show you how like wacky my mind works, when the creature comes to Earth, he comes with a guide, and the guide gives him a name. He says, we'll call you Stephen Perroy. It's actually a joke. He says, what do you mean? He says, well, if the humans knew of your existence, it's what they would call your condition, if they even knew you were alive. And essentially, if you take his name, which was Stephen Perroy, if you jumble the letters around, it's sapientropy, the name of the novel.
Oh.
So it's an anagram.
That's ingenious.
Yeah, so his name is an anagram. So Stephen says, well, what about you? What's your name? He says, you can call me Seth Lasheroy. He says, well, is that an anagram as well? Seth laughs and he says, actually it is, but we're going to be here for a very long time. We'll let you figure that out. Essentially, everybody in the novel, actually in all 3 of these novels, their names are anagrams for the role in which their characters play within the context of the story, except for the hero, who's only known as Walker. Walker's real identity is not revealed until the last novel, or the 3rd novel.
That's good. So, do you share a message between all these series?
I think, well, the first one is sort of a fish out of water story. So it's, human life as seen by someone outside, and it, kind of shows some of the absurdities or what could be construed as absurdities from humanity. But ultimately, when you get through the 3 novels, the whole hero's quest of, redemption and all this other stuff kind of comes into play. And essentially, I want people to come away with a little bit bigger view of reality. There's possibilities out there that they can think about, different levels of reality, and just want to open up their minds a little bit.
Okay. So, what's your favorite book written so far?
That's a good question. I mean, I like all of them for different reasons, but I think maybe the 4th one, which isn't even part of this series, only because it's been germinating in my mind for so long. It started out as a poster I drew for a friend of mine, then turned into a portfolio of artwork, and then turned into a song, and then turned into a mini series of comic books that I produced years ago. And now it's going to be a novel next year. So it's taken a very long time for that thing to manifest in its present state. So I kind of like that, and it's a different feel. But as far as the first 3 novels go, I think the 3rd one is really kind of cool because of Walker. That's the hero of his revelation of who he is and what he has been for, let's just say, a very long time.
Can you tell us a bit about your most recent book?
Well, the newest one, the one that's being released tomorrow on Halloween, Sapientropy, again, is the wolf story. It focuses on Stefan because he doesn't understand what's going on. He meets a blind woman and he's kind of intrigued by her. She's beautiful, but he doesn't understand because of his animal-like mentality. He doesn't understand why her parents didn't kill her at birth because she's blind. So he has to come to understand compassion, which is something that obviously doesn't exist where he's from. So then I don't want to tell you too much of the story, but things happen, and of course then Walker comes into it. Although when Walker comes in and Seth is about to introduce Walker to Stefan, he's about to use an earlier name, and Walker stops him and says, "I'm known as Walker now." And Seth says, "Walker?" Well, that's painfully ironic, and that's a very tiny little hint as to who Walker actually is. But I'm not saying yet.
So, how much research do you think you do with your books?
The first one takes place in my hometown where I was raised, so not as much as the second two. The second book, a lot of it, some of it takes place in Italy, a lot of it takes place in New Orleans, and then the third one, we go to Norway. So there was a lot of research done because I haven't been to those places, and I wanted a lot of references. So I had to get online and find out street names and
not even to New Orleans?
No, I haven't. My wife's been several times, but I haven't had a chance, unfortunately.
I thought it was close to Pennsylvania.
No, I'm in Massachusetts, so you're talking, it's about 2,800 miles. But I will get there at some point. But the research was daunting because I really wanted to have some sense of familiarity, even though I haven't been there. So again, I just had to read up on these locations, look at different landmarks and all this other stuff.
I get it. So, what is like your biggest goal as a writer right now?
I mean, ideally, everybody wants to be on top, but I'm happy just to get them out there and have people. I don't need to sell millions of copies or hundreds of thousands of copies, but if I have at least some sort of a following who enjoys what I'm doing, then cool, it's great. Ultimately, if we can get this on different platforms, who knows? I'm talking soon to a producer. We'll see what happens. So,
wow, that's impressive. What are you planning to do with the producer?
I'm trying to greenlight it as a TV series. So what I would like for each novel to be an individual TV series. So this one person that I have in mind that I do have a doorway to, he has done several series. He's been in the business for a long time, and he's in charge of a very popular horror IP. So we'll see what happens.
Let's hope they actually do that.
That would be great.
Yeah, it's on live action, right?
Yes.
Then, yeah, it probably can happen. Animation is screw up these days, so
yeah.
No, don't do that.
The only one that would be difficult would be the fourth one because it would be a lot of CGI because of the main characters and what they are. But the first three, the trilogy, I think it's within reason.
I think it's fine with the fourth one because the first three for people to get familiar with it.
Well, yeah, it's like any other industry. Once you've got your foot in the door, then you can kind of bring in some other stuff. Once you're noticed. Just
make sure they actually let you in the decision making. Oh,
absolutely. I'm not going to take a backseat to my own IP.
Yeah. Many people, they give them a paycheck on Netflix and then their book ends like a parody of itself.
Yeah. No, I don't. I would rather have it not done at all as opposed to having it done the way I want it to be done.
Yeah. How many authors haven't said that already?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Oof. Absolutely. But financially, I'm not broke, but I'm not looking to be a millionaire from this. If it happens, that's fine, but it's going to happen. If it does happen, it's going to happen the way that I want it to. It's going to be my vision, so that's what I'm sticking with.
Yeah. So, how have been like the interaction with your fans?
I have an awful lot of people. I have a lot of people who read the first novel when it was first published, and they know that it's coming out now 60 pages thicker with more characterization and so forth. and it's now part of a series. So there's a lot of excitement. I've got a lot of people saying that that they can't wait to reread it and go on with the storyline. So that's it's kind of a nice boost,
Do you have like a dog experience you remember fondly?
Not in particular. I remember getting one email years ago after I wrote the first novel and it got produced. I got an email from a woman in Ireland saying that she read the book and she really enjoyed it and she can't wait for the sequel. And I thought to myself, sequel? I got to do this again? But then I thought about it, I'm like, all right, well, fine. And then that's when I started writing the sequel and turned into a trilogy. And of course, being, franchises being what they are, just in case I finished the story at the end of the third novel, all the storylines are all tied in, but I did open it up for the possibility of more stories to come. Right.
So, do you have like a support network with other writers?
Not so much with other writers. My editor is right there by my side. If you hear barking in the background, I have 7 dogs. I apologize. But other writers, not so much. But hopefully that will grow in time.
Okay. So, how do you handle the challenges of marketing?
I'll let you know. I'm just taking it one step at a time, getting it out on Amazon and then later this week, Barnes & Noble and other platforms. If it has to start small, that's cool. I'll go to conventions and, different appearances and do what I can to start, planting the seeds small and hopefully it'll grow.
Okay. What do you think was your greatest accomplishment since you started this path?
Getting as far as I've gone, 4 novels. And besides the 4 novels, now I'm kind of on a roll. I got an idea for a romantic, I wouldn't say comedy, but maybe a romantic fantasy, I guess you would call it. It's got fantasy element. I started writing just a couple of weeks ago, a motivational book, and I'm going to be starting a biography of my father's musical career.
Okay.
So a lot of things coming,
That actually answered one of my questions. I was going to ask you if you were planning to adventure on other genres.
Yeah, as long as it's a story that I feel I can tell adequately, then absolutely. There are genres that I'm not particularly fond of, but if I can attack those genres with a certain twist and make it interesting to me, then great. I'll give anything a shot.
Oh, I forgot to ask, how long did you take to finish the second and third book?
The second one, I had it going for a little while. I did it for about 3 or 4 months, and then I just kind of let it go for a little while. Life got in the way. But then I ended up retiring from my job as a correctional officer. So now I had a whole bunch of time. And within 1 year, I not only finished writing the second one, but I finished the third one as well. And then the fourth one came shortly after that. So I had about 13, maybe 14 months of constant writing, and I blasted out 3 novels.
Right. I get it. So I know that you are going to publish the 4th book soon and the 3rd one. But can you tell me a bit about your plans? Are you planning to go to an event or something in person for people to meet you?
I definitely want to branch out to that type of thing. I'm looking for next year into some of the horror conventions, and there aren't many writing conventions.
There should be some, especially in Massachusetts at this time of the year.
Yeah, there are. So I'm just kind of waiting until next year, and of course by next year I'm going to have more of the novels to have with me physically, and more product is just more things to try and latch people on,
So, can you tell me like the platforms where we can get your book?
Right now, as far as, on Amazon, it's going to be released tomorrow, Halloween, both in paperback and as an ebook. By the end of the week, I will have it up on Barnes & Noble, and I'm going to be going up onto Ingram Sparks. So anywhere that buys books from Ingram Sparks, you'd be able to get it. And my website, I have an author website, darkwingenterprises.biz, B-I-Z. So you can go on there and you get the ISBN numbers and so forth. So
Well, I think that's all for now. Thank you so much for coming. Well, everyone, that was everything for today's episode of Writing Inspiration with Markee Books. Thank you for coming, and thank you, CEO, for accompanying us today.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Take care.
Great. So, how was like your experience with Markee Books? How did you find them?
Actually, Markee found me. I saw an ad and I thought, well, I'll give it a shot. I had, being a graphic artist, I had covers designed, but they were okay. And when I went to Markee, they offered a free demo and say, "Oh, well, check this out. And if you like it, we can work together." So Markee sent me their version of my book cover, and it was great. I mean, it was more, it had more contemporary feel, and they also offer as much editing as I want. There was something that I didn't like. They changed it. Great, the price was very reasonable. So,
Oh, you think? I'm happy to hear. I'm happy very much to hear that. It's always a concern for me when I hear about the prices.
Well, I can be honest with you that as a graphic designer myself and as an artist myself, if somebody came to me and said, "Hey, can you design a book cover for me?" I could do it, but I couldn't do it for the same price. I would have to charge them more. It would take me, my time is valuable. So, so I was more than happy to pay the Markee price, and I'm more than happy to follow through. I've got more books coming, so I'll stick with Markee. No problem. And anyone asks me, I'll definitely.
Do you plan to ask us to make the sequel, the cover for the sequel of
Yeah, absolutely. All three of them actually for the trilogy. My idea is the cover on the first one has that red motif, and so the covers of the others are a different color scheme. But I do want a homogenizing feel to all three of them, so it still looks like the same series.
Maybe something like red, then purple, then blue, and then I don't know, green.
That's exactly. It's funny you say that because on my designs, I designed the three novels, and mine were red, purple, and blue for the first three novels. So that's we're on the same page. So we're doing well here.
Well, What is the what do you think like made you try us? I mean, did something catch your attention or something?
Well, the idea that you were willing to offer me a preview, you were going to do it just as a free preview. I could have said no. So really, I had nothing to lose at that point. So I thought, well, okay, fine. You want to do that? Go for it, I guess. But then when I saw the mock-up, it was great,
Yeah, I think we won't stop doing the preview. Even though many people, just that's okay. Yeah, I already saw what I wanted, and then stopped talking to us. It's a little bit frustrating, but
Yeah.
so I've been pondering if we should take out that or not.
Well, if not, then perhaps you can show them books that you've done for other people.
We actually are doing that. We are emailing all our portfolio.
Sure. Yeah, that's definitely the way to go.
Yeah. So, do you feel like the results were like what you expected?
More so, actually. Again, your design gave the book a very contemporary feel. Now it looks like it belongs on the bookshelf with the other horror novels over at Barnes & Noble or whatever bookstore I might happen to go into, My designs were a little bit more simplistic. And they were, like I said, they were okay, but yours just, definitely popped a little bit more.
I'm happy to hear that. Did people compliment your cover?
Yes, actually. I asked around, which one do people like more? Which you like mine? You like this? And at first it was kind of half and half, but then they started swaying toward yours. And I mean, even from the start, I liked yours better. So, I mean, as an artist, I don't mind saying that.
Oh, well, did you try other services before us?
No, I didn't really need to. When I saw the preview, I knew that you guys were on point.
Oh, okay. That's right, actually. So, let's see. What you already answered that. Do you have any concern about trying us?
Not really. I mean, again, the price, once I saw the mock-up, and then I looked at the price, there really wasn't that much to lose. It's not like you're asking thousands and thousands of dollars for a piece of artwork. It was reasonable, and I could afford to lose that money if it didn't work out.
Yeah, I get it. Do you want to? Just for the record, we offer other services. We can do web design, video editing, book trailers, and we are on book trailers. Like hire actors to enact scenes for books, for publicitary reasons.
Sure.
And we do. I already say websites, I think. Well, you can see on our website. We do many things.
Definitely check that out.
Well, the episode will be out probably on November.
Okay.
We need to edit, and it will take some time. We have 3 other episodes before this, so yeah, probably in 4 weeks.
All right, cool. I look forward